So yes, my mortgage in principle was just that, in principle, because it didn't happen. So this video is a continuation from the last vlog, which was my final viewings and getting my mortgage offer withdrawn. I think that's what it's called. So go and watch that one first. In fact, go and watch the whole series first and then come back to this one. But essentially I wanted to talk about getting the mortgage offer withdrawn, what that entailed, and basically like my advice and tips and stuff for like getting over that essentially. Because sorry, I just realised my necklace wasn't showing and I thought I lost it, and I wear this every single day. So in the last video, at the end, I made an offer on the house, the final house. I wasn't looking for my dream home. It wasn't, oh my god, this one's so pretty and so amazing, but it was, this one has the most potential type situation. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, I did not enjoy the viewing process. Like, it was the worst thing for me ever. Like, I thought it was gonna be this really exciting thing, going to view houses. Like, I like watching like house shows on TV. It was nothing like that. I just hated it. I viewed less than 10 properties before I made my final offer. And I made offers on 2 different properties. The first one I ever seen and the last one I ever seen. And there was no offers in between. It took me a few days to kind of think over that one. I wasn't actually going to make an offer. And when I was in the house, it didn't feel like it would be the house that I would make an offer on. So I actually left. I didn't film it or anything. Like, it was just one of those ones that it's like, oh, nah. It's not the worst I've ever seen, because I've seen some really flipping bad ones. But it also wasn't that great either. But I think after I mulled over it, I spoke about it with my sister, because at that time, the first property I put an offer on was still kind of pending kind of situation. But ended up not getting that one, but I'm glad because it was a non-standard construction, which means that it's not made of brick. And even though I really like the property, in terms of like long-term investment, which is what I wanted the property for, it made 0 sense. The area didn't make sense. The fact that it is non-standard could be an issue later on down the line. Like, it just wasn't the smartest decision. And I ended up in like a little bidding war with that one. So if I was to go along with that one, I would have paid way more than I was happy to pay. So yeah, that one was old news. That one fell through. So I was like, okay, cool. This is the second best one. And in fact, it's the first best one, but at the time it felt like second best one. But like, I didn't want to lose it, one, even though it had been at the market for a little time, I didn't want to lose it. And 2, I was over viewing properties. Like, I didn't want to view any more properties. I wanted it in the bag ASAP. So yeah, my offer was accepted, and then it was time to put in my full mortgage application. So your mortgage in principle just says what the bank would offer you potentially based on the information that you've given them. But your full application is like, okay, how much money are we actually going to give you? Are we actually going to give you this money? My broker, I had a mortgage broker. If you want his details, let me know. He was really good and he was free. Some mortgage brokers charge, but this one, they shouldn't charge because they get commission on the back end from your mortgage. But some of them charge and say that they get special deals and they're on different lists, and apparently it's all bullshit. So yeah, my mortgage broker was free and he was excellent. Like, he went above and beyond. He put through the full application and everything was fine. He was like, okay, it's going to take, I think it was about 5 days. So it's quite quick. Like, you're going to hear back within 5 days whether you got the mortgage or not. But it wasn't a thing of, okay, you know, you could not get, it was never a thing like that. We didn't consider the fact that I couldn't get it or I wouldn't get it. It was just a thing of, yeah, just wait for the confirmation. Anyways, cut a long story short, he ended up, so the bank ended up calling me, but I didn't take the call, and they called my broker straight after. And they told my broker that they wouldn't be giving the mortgage. So nobody even contacted me to tell me that they wouldn't be giving me the full, like, they wouldn't be following through the mortgage in principle. And I was devastated, like, actually devastated. Like, I didn't know that was even a thing. Like, it hit me like a ton of bricks, even though I had considered it and I thought, okay, I don't want to get too excited just in case. I still didn't really consider the fact that that could happen. So when he actually said, like, oh yeah, they're not going to give you the mortgage, I was like, excuse me? Then I'm panicking because I'm like, I don't want to lose this house. By this point now, I've made the offer and I've committed to this house. Like, this house is going to be my house. I can see what I'm going to do there. I know what renovations I need to do. I mean, kind of. I know, like, I'm positive about this house. Like, I really want it at this point. Even though when I first went there, I wasn't too sure. At this point, I was like, this is my house. Like, I need it. Oh, my days. So the reason, they didn't actually give a reason as to why they wouldn't give me the mortgage. They just didn't really like my situation. Like, they didn't really like give an actual explanation. They just was asking my brokers like little questions. Nah, I'm not really feeling it. Or at least that's what my broker told me. It wasn't a long conversation either. So yeah, I don't know. But either way, I panicked. But my broker was like, don't panic. There's other like lenders that we can go to. So what he told me was, give me like a week to go away and like just, you know, see which lenders we can go to that makes sense and come back to you with, you know, the next plan of action. So for the next, say, like week and a half, yeah, I had like it was so difficult. I didn't know where to put myself. I just kept thinking about it, like I couldn't do anything about it. It was horrible because it was a situation that was completely out of my hands. Like, I'm not used to being someone that just has to sit back and see how things plan out. I don't do that. I am very proactive, and it was something that I couldn't be proactive about. Like, there was nothing that I personally could do. Like, I couldn't do anything. I had to just leave it to my broker to get back to me with, and leave it to the universe to figure out. Like, I couldn't do anything, and that was the hardest bit. Like, I couldn't do anything to make the situation even remotely better. So it was just a waiting game, and I didn't do well with that. So I cried for 40 days and 40 nights. I said in the other video, it wasn't a joke. I really cried, and all I did was cry. It just felt like the end of the world. Like, it really did. Like, I'd built myself up at this point, bearing in mind, word's getting about now. My mum's got a big mouth, and she's going around telling everyone that I'm buying a house. And when I'm seeing family members, they're asking me, how is it going? So if I'm seeing family members in this time where I'm not sure how it's going, I'm not going to cope very well with answering that question. I still tried to hold it down as best I could, and in that time I just like immersed myself into work, and I was like, okay, cool, just going to keep saving, keep saving, keep saving, because worst case scenario, maybe I have to like buy at a later date. You know, my situation might change a little bit, and maybe I have to buy at a later date, maybe I have to put down a much bigger deposit, all these different things. So I was just like, okay, cool. What I can do right now is just save as much as I can. So I just went into work mode. Finally, he got back to me and he was like, okay, cool. What we're going to do is we're going to proceed by going with X lender. But the reason we had to be very specific with our next move is because we couldn't just try any and any lender just to see who would give me money, because that also shows up on your credit. So you don't want to make another application that doesn't go through, because they're going to see that and it might raise more alarm bells, might want to ask even more questions than they would have originally asked. So it was a bit like, I don't want to get another mortgage offer declined, but also I don't want to like not apply. So it was a weird one. It was a really weird one. The next lender that we went to ended up giving me the mortgage, and that was a bloody relief, I tell you. Oh my god, I've never been so relieved in all my life. This whole process was, I believe, 2 to 3 weeks. So in this 2 to 3 weeks, I didn't tell the estate agent that I couldn't get my mortgage, because I didn't want them to pull like the offer or to put the house back on the market and then they've got another offer. Like, I just didn't want to take that risk. So I didn't tell them, and I just hoped that it had resolved itself soon enough before they started getting, you know, weary, because I sent them everything else apart from confirmation that I had my mortgage. I can't remember what confirmation I had to send. I don't remember if there was paperwork that I needed to forward or something, but I sent them like my deposit, you know, all that kind of stuff, my solicitor's details. So I gave them enough that they wouldn't be like, yo, what's going on with your mortgage? But at the same time, I didn't have that mortgage stuff to send them yet. Also with the solicitor, because I had already instructed my solicitor at that point, that was another thing that I could have potentially lost money on. However, what we did is, advised by my broker, is to not pay her the deposit fee. So there was a deposit fee that would cover like your searches. Well, mine was £500. So that covers all the searches and just like a deposit to say that, you know, you want the person to move forward with your purchase. But I held off on giving her that. So I sent her all the information, I filled out all the forms, but I just didn't pay her until I had full confirmation that I had a mortgage. Because if not, she would have paid to have these searches on this property and I wouldn't have even had to buy it. So I would have lost all that money. And that would have been a very dead situation. So yeah, a bit of advice as well is, before you've got confirmation, don't instruct your solicitor, or at least don't pay any money for your solicitor. Instruct them, get them moving, but don't pay them until you've got full confirmation of your mortgage. Getting this new lender did mean that the mortgage I was able to secure was slightly higher than my original rate. Not by very much, by pennies, well, pounds, by a couple of pounds, but it was higher. But that's because time had passed. I'm lucky, to be honest, because by then the rates had gone up even more, and if I hadn't secured it when I secured it, I believe the next week is when they jumped up again and they were at like 6-7%. So I'm actually quite lucky that I was able to secure the one that I got when I got it, even though the first one fell through, because they were very, very similar interest rates. So grateful for that as well. Moral of the story is, no two lenders are the same, and even though one says no, another one may say yes. And probably will say yes, because they all have different criteria and things like that. So I personally would, at this point, knowing what I know, always use a broker, because there was no way I would get through this process without that broker. Honestly, like literally no way. He gave me information I wouldn't have known. He just really knew his stuff, so I definitely couldn't have done it without him. And my next piece of advice would be not to rely too heavily on that mortgage in principle or agreement in principle, depending on what you call it. Don't rely on it too heavily, because that's literally all it is. It's just in principle, very much just in principle, and it means zilch in real life, to be honest. All it does is help to show the estate agents that you're more serious, but in terms of the banks don't give a damn if they gave you a mortgage in principle or not. So just bear that in mind, because I feel like if I was a little bit more prepared, it might not have hit me. You know what, it would have hit me just as hard, let me not lie. That is how I got through that situation, and that's why that situation happened. Again, I don't know really specifics on what exactly they had a problem with, but they were just a bit like, nah, it's not one for us. But yeah, everything happens for a reason, as my mum has always taught me. So I did manage to get the house, but clearly I just wasn't supposed to go with that lender. But yeah, if you want a video on how I saved my deposit, let me know in the comments, because I'm thinking about doing that video. And also follow me on TikTok, because I do quite a lot of information videos on there as well. Thank you for watching the video. I hope it was somewhat useful, and thank you all as well for watching all my other videos. Like, they've actually been performing pretty well for me. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.